Good morning one and all, my name is Saumil and in this video I would be talking about dynamic web scraping. I'll be explaining you about what dynamic web scraping is and how basically web app developers or basically who are doing website, there is some piece of code that is being executed on the client side that is nothing but our browser. So how can we get that data? So I'm going to explain you about all of that in this video. So first of all, what is dynamic web scraping? So the very first thing that comes into your mind, like dynamic web scraping, malab, that means whenever you go to a website or whenever you go to any website, there is something like, let's say, some animation or some JavaScript is being loaded or is being rendered on your browser. That means that gets loaded only where the website gets loaded completely once the JavaScript and all the scripts running on your Chrome is done, then the browser is loaded. So sometimes what the web developers do, basically they render the data on the client side computer. So if you're doing the web scraping, basically if you try to inspect the element and you want to see the data, you won't see the data because although you're seeing the data on the website, but when you make a request like request.get and then you get the soup content, you will check there won't be any data because that data side code is being rendered on the client side, that is your Chrome browser. Now, how can I mimic that, or how can I fool the browser or the website that the client I want to render the client side code also? There are two ways basically possible. First is an inefficient way, and second is a better way to do it. So the first way to do it is basically using Selenium. It is an inefficient way because in real world scenario, you're not going to open Chrome again. It's not going to open Chrome, go to the website. That's inefficient. Nobody, I mean, technically should be using that. That's discarded. I mean, for some small projects, it's okay for your own projects, but when you are doing something commercially or if you're doing for some company, yeah, it's not gonna open Chrome, right? So that is ruled out. The second comes for dynamic web scraping would be, I don't know if you know this, there is a module called as PyQt. If you have heard about it, it's basically a GUI framework. They have something called as PyQt web something. I'm also gonna make a video on it. So the PyQt module has basically has some features that can mimic the browser, or you can run the client side code that is rendering on the Chrome on your machine locally. So and then you can get that data which was being generated on the Chrome side. I mean, basically all the JavaScript data that the programmer is trying to load. So in this situation, I mean, there will be a lot of situation when you are trying to scrape data. You would be seeing the data on the web page, but when you do the request.get and you get the soup object, you won't see the data. That is because some of the data are being rendered on the client side, that is our machine or the browser. So to mimic that, we will use the PyQt module. I hope this was a little informative and a very good idea about web scraping techniques. So web scraping can be done in following ways. The first amazing method is hacking the hidden APIs. Left click, inspect the element, see the network tab. Second, use pandas read_html for table stuff. Third method would be basically, third method would be your beautiful soup approach. Fourth method is Selenium. And the fifth method, basically, if they are rendering the code on the client side, I mean on the browser, you can use PyQt framework to render the code on the client side. These are my tips and tricks for web scraping, and I hope you enjoyed this video and learned about dynamic web scraping. If so, do give a like. If you have any more questions, please list them in the comment and would be very happy to assist you. Once again, thank you for watching and see you guys in the next video.